This is Salvador Allende. He was a medical doctor, but he was elected president of Chile in 1970 with a very, very strong left-wing mandate. He increased minimum wages, built thousands of houses, and introduced free university education for everyone. And he set price controls for all the basics. He improved healthcare, and he did an awful lot more. Of course, it all had to be paid for. And he implemented a very strong socialist program. He nationalised all the large industries, copper mines, banking, telephones, and he had a big land grab, grabbed hold of all these huge settler estates and broke them up into small units. And many of these things were American owned. And he forged new relationships with Fidel Castro, the communist, and the Soviet Union. The Americans under Richard Nixon were absolutely apoplectic. And this chap had been democratically elected. He had in fact been a communist in his younger days. So Nixon wasn't very happy that the commies were just down the road, as it were, in his backyard. Castro was bad enough, but this guy, this Allende, he was democratically elected, and they were strong supporters of democracy, were the Americans. As long as it was the right democracy, and this certainly wasn't. So the CIA, knowing this was coming, or the Americans knowing this was coming, had set their stall out, and they were funding right-wing groups, spreading malicious rumour, undermining the finance of the country, until there was absolutely rampant inflation. So it was a case of get rid of this guy, whatever it took, as far as the Americans were concerned. They funneled money through the British Embassy, so we were in fact complicit in this in some ways. And this rampant inflation eventually, a new general, Pinochet, became leader of the Chilean army, and together with the right wing and big landowners and the wealthy of Chile, they decided to get rid of him in a major way. So they surrounded the palace and started bombing it. I remember the whole place being ablaze in the 1970s. So in 1973, Allende was trapped inside this palace, and when they stormed the place, he was found dead inside. The rumours were that he'd killed himself, but there were other rumours that he had been killed, whatever. He died a pretty violent death. So in 1973, democracy in Chile died, and the whole place was ruled by a military junta, run by Pinochet. So when he went, the Chilean elites were ecstatic. The Americans were ecstatic. Estates were restored, industries were denationalised, and the economy was stabilised with a massive influx of American money. However, for the very poor and ordinary people of Chile, they were dark days, especially if you'd been a supporter of the socialists. The Santiago football stadium was definitely not a place to be. So a place from where people disappeared. And Pinochet ruled until the, I think it's about the 1990s. But democracy has returned. But of course, it's not the socialist democracy that the Americans didn't want. So he is in fact a Chilean hero. And statue is placed there. Somebody will be able to translate this, but this is on the back of the Allende plinth. I suspect it's a quote from him. Well, I've come to this museum today in Santiago, and it's a museum about the terrible things that happened during the Pinochet regime if they saw you as an opponent of their sort of coup d'etat and their dictatorship. It's very, very good, but it's hard going. Some of it's quite upsetting. The best thing to do is to go in and you need one of these audio guides. You pay 2,000 pesos for it and leave some identification, driver's license or passport. And it's very easy to go around, and it's very well displayed. It's very modern. And if you're at all interested in it, you probably need, I would think, probably 2 hours minimum, and probably a little bit more. The museum leads directly off the Quinta Normal tube station on the Green Line. It's very easy to find. So I've come to the Allende Museum, which I understand is down this Avenida Republica, which is about 2 minutes walk from the Republica railway, metro on the red line. So it's quite easy to find. You just ask, people know where it is, they just ask. And there you can see a sign which indicates the Salvador Allende Museum at Republica number 475. You also see a little fountain there as well. Noisy children. Well, this is the Salvador Allende Foundation building, but having arrived here, it says it is closed until March. Oh well, so be it. A little fountain here in the Avenida Republica at the top end. I don't know what it's meant to represent, but it's a nice bronze. They look like sad figures. They've all got their heads bowed. This is the National Stadium, which I've come to. It's quite a long way, quite a long walk when you get off at the train. And this is as close as you can get to it. They don't allow you any nearer than this. Of course, in 1973, when General Pinochet took over the country, this was a dark place. Lots of terrible things happened here, and people disappeared. It was a bit sad. Anyway, hopefully it's recovered from that, as it would seem Chile has. I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by it.